All right, folks, welcome in. The Yankees have finally added a pitcher. It is David Bednar from the Pittsburgh Pirates. In exchange, the Yankees are sending over one of the really good prospects that I really like. I'm sure a lot of people like their catcher, Rafael Flores, who's risen really highly in the rankings, was not drafted. Number 14 prospect, Edgeline Perez, and Brian Sanchez, according to Robert Murray. So, look, finally, it took a little bit. There's a move. We're gonna discuss it. We're gonna talk about what could be next. I will tell you right now, I like Bednar. I am excited that we actually can talk about a move being made. Especially right now during a rain delay, it's almost perfect. At the same time, though, we're going to talk about what this ultimately means. So, obviously, unless you were living under a rock today, you saw Mason Miller go to the Padres. I will just start off by addressing this. Mason Miller went to the Padres because their GM does not care as long as he can try and win a World Series. He gave away Leo DeVries, their shortstop, likely the shortstop of the future until he was traded away. And honestly, that's one of the more valuable pieces out there that anybody could give up. So I don't even think the Yankees could have matched that. And that just tells me I really don't believe the Yankees were anywhere near doing anything like that. I think really the reports have been what they've been. The Yankees are trying to acquire some as good as you can, right? As good at pitching as you can possibly get without giving up their meat and potatoes in their farm system. It also means no, they don't want to trade Ben Rice. They don't want to trade, Spencer Jones. They don't want to trade Jason Dominguez. They don't want to trade any of those guys. Okay. It's one thing to say don't want to, and it's another thing like, oh yeah, well they would consider it. I don't think they were even considering trading Dominguez. Jones. From the sound of it, it sounds like, and I just saw this, it sounds like Spencer Jones would only go in a trade that netted them somebody like Paul Skeens. And to be honest with you, I'm glad. That's exactly where I see him. Now it's up to the Yankees. You chose this, you made your bed. Now you got to lay in it. They better give Spencer Jones a shot to be a franchise player next year. Okay. That it's really that simple. But here we go. David Bednar. What are you getting in this player? You're getting somebody who, and I did mention this, the high leverage numbers are not the best, okay? You gave up your 18th, 14th, and an unranked prospect, so you did give up something for him. At the end of the day, when you look at Bednar, this is a guy that has a 33.1 strikeout percentage, okay? And when he's got 3 pitches, he mainly uses that 4-seam fastball and curve, but he also has that splitter. I think Matt Blake is going to be able to do something with him. You get some control with him as well. He's 30 years of age, so that's good. And especially it's good because keep this in mind, Devin Williams, Luke Weaver, these guys are not under control next year. Okay. They will be free agents. So that's important to remember here. When you're going through the bullpen, it's not just this year. I think the Yankees have made it clear that they want to add guys, but also keep themselves available where they can get somebody for next year. And like I said, some control. You're going to have Bednar, and then he'll be a free agent in 2027, but you have him under arbitration next year. So that's a good sign. Now, the thing with Bednar is those, we were talking about this on the show, and, I brought it up on Twitter. I'm going to look it up right now, but he doesn't have the best, splits when it comes to, the late game splits, right? The high leverage, if you will. And that was really my biggest turnoff against Bednar. Because when you look at Bednar, this is somebody that's giving up a 288 batting average, a 338 on base percentage, a 475 slugging, and 813 OPS in high leverage situations. So really, this ends up being, I think, a pretty damn good pitcher and a pretty damn good player as long as he's not your closer. That's how I would utilize him. So you're going to want to utilize him probably in that 7-8 inning role. 9th inning, I'm keeping Devin Williams in charge. I know they gave up a lot to go out and get Bednar, and you could argue they gave up more in a sense. We'll see. Time will tell. But they gave up more than they gave up for Devin Williams. But Devin Williams should be the closer still. Then you should have Luke Weaver and David Bednar being your setup. So I actually agree with that. But yes, Bednar in medium leverage, 241 batting average against, giving up a 313 on base, 276 slugging, and a 588 OPS. So we love that. That's really good. And then low leverage splits, Bednar has a 148 batting average against, 193 on base, 185 slugging, and a 378 OPS. That tells me, in a way, David Bednar has a lot of versatility to be used all over those innings, however the Yankees really see fit. So this is somebody that's really going to help them out. The bottom line is the bullpen was everything. They needed to go out and get a guy. They finally do. And I don't think the package was bad. I wouldn't have, like I said, I wouldn't have loved to give up Flores, especially I believe he was leading the minor leagues in outs, throwing guys out at catcher. And I like his long-term potential, but right now the Yankees need this. They need an arm, and I don't think they're done here, but I like this move a lot for Bednar. So, they got something done. They added 3 bats. Now they get Bednar in the bullpen. You have Devin Williams. You have Luke Weaver. You have guys coming back. They said Mark Leiter Jr. could be back from that broken leg, which is kind of wild that he's back so soon. They said he could be back for the Texas series, so that's not far off. He's going to do 1 rehab assignment stint and then could be back, and they could also be getting Cruz back soon, and also Ryan Yarbrough. And now all of a sudden you start to see, okay, the bullpen starts to take shape. You don't really need a ton of arms. You never needed to get a full new bullpen. You actually have some heroes in there. You have some heroes in the mix that have shown up and showed out. Brett Hedrick, as of late, has done a really nice job. And then also you look at JT Brubaker. These are guys that can work and try and make this roster for October. So that's really the big thing there. When you have your starting pitchers, and you only get to keep 13 pitchers on the roster, 13 hitters, right? So your starting pitchers, that covers 5. But it's a little bit different for the Yankees because now your rotation currently is you have Max Fried, you have Carlos Rodon, you have Will Warren, you have Cam Schlittler, and, of course, you have Marcus Stroman right now. Now, however, when Heel comes back, now you'll have 6 starters. And when Yarbrough comes back, you'll have 7. And so this complicates things a little bit, but not really, because we've already heard that Cam Schlittler would likely be moved to the bullpen. And so, of course, would Ryan Yarbrough, who they acquired to be a bullpen pitcher anyway. So now, all of a sudden, let's just say for now, you have 5 starters. Your bullpen essentially has to consist of 9 guys. So those 9 guys, or 8 guys, those 8 guys, who are we looking at? Well, now you got Bednar, you got Weaver, Williams, Yarbrough when he comes back, Cam Schlittler, and then you just need to fill 3 more. Fernando Cruz, right? And then it's a battle between guys like Mark Leiter Jr., Yeri De Los Santos, JT Brubaker, right? And then, of course, I was just talking about him, but Brent Hedrick. Also Tim Hill. Tim Hill has to be in there. So you need a lefty, and that's why I do think moving forward, I actually made a prediction earlier today on Twitter, and I said it just feels like Bednar and Romero are Yankees, or going to be Yankees. So that was the big thing there. Now, I think JoJo Romero is the next move. That's just kind of my guess. David Bednar and JoJo Romero. Romero is a lefty, like his stuff, but I think that's the thing is that they're going to add 1 more arm, and maybe they add a starting pitcher. Now, keep in mind, the starting pitcher would give them flexibility to move another guy to the bullpen, and you could also send down Cam Schlittler if you want him to go back to just, we love him, we appreciate him, he's going to be a big part of our future, but we don't feel like he's going to be the best option out of the bullpen. Well, then you send him back to AAA, and he gets an opportunity to just work as a starter and keep building upon it, because he wasn't in AAA long before he got called up. And keep in mind, Michael K brought this up yesterday on the broadcast. Will Warren wasn't even supposed to be called up this year. Garrett Cole goes down, and now Will Warren has an open spot. So that's another important thing. And oh, by the way, also Stroman. Where does Stroman go? Right? I personally am not broken up about Stroman. I don't really feel one way or the other. That said, Stroman has pitched decently well, so I don't want to just completely, take away all the credit. But at the same time, like, I'm not, constantly putting myself in a pickle trying to find ways to get Stroman opportunities, right? So I think that's kind of, where I stand right now. And, Stroman he was pitching fine. I mean, he gave up 4 runs in 5 innings. That's not necessarily great, but you have the offense picking you up today. You have the rain delay. He is not pitching when they come out of the rain delay. I don't believe so. So I think really when you look at it, what happens with Stroman? I mean, there could be a few things. They could end up DFAing him. They could trade him. That would be interesting if they all of a sudden decided to trade him. I don't even think they know what they're doing necessarily with him because they have so many guys with Luis Heel coming back. Now it's like, what is going on? So yeah. And I think moving forward, you can expect there's going to be one more arm. It's going to be a lefty, and I think it'll be Jojo Romero. And then I think they're going to go out and get a starting pitcher. And is it going to be a rental? Is it going to be Edward Cabrera? I hope it's not Alcantara. I really don't want Alcantara. I think they're asking for way too much, so there's that. But I think if you were able to get Jojo Romero and Edward Cabrera, that would be a great move. It just would. So that's kind of where I stand on that. Now with the Yankees, currently, do they have enough to go and win a World Series? You might laugh at my, explanation, but hear me out when I say this. Wasn't that long ago, the Yankees bullpen, we kept talking about like, wow, this bullpen's really good. And then they dealt with some injuries. And then all of a sudden the bullpen was not good. Because remember, the bullpen was one of the highlights of this team. Then they started dealing with injuries. They took one of their best arms out of the bullpen and turned him into a starter. Let's not forget that. Okay? Yarbrough was one of their best arms, and they turned him into a starter. And then you have Cruz go down the first time. He really wasn't the same after he came back from the first injury, but he was one of the more dominant pitchers when utilized before the injury. And then you have an injury to Mark Leiter Jr., and you start to see, a lot of injuries. Luke Weaver goes down with an injury. He hasn't been the same since his injury. So that's something to keep in mind here. It's not to say that, it's 100%, whatever, like the guys are going to get back to form and everything, but getting those guys back should help. Brian Hoke says the Yankees have asked the Marlins for a package including Sandy Alcantara and Anthony Bender. I do not want Alcantara. Like I've said, I would rather have Cabrera. He has actual, he has 3 years of control. He's better this year. And Alcantara has arm concerns that he has not really recovered from. So I'm not a fan of that. Anthony Bender, on the other hand, let's see Anthony Bender. He's pitching very well this year, but it's another righty. So I guess my thing is, if you're going to go out and get Anthony Bender, I mean, it's a little confusing because we heard all year that they wanted to add another lefty, but why would they get another righty? That's the thing. He must have reverse splits. That must be the case. But let's bring it up here. This is Anthony Bender, the guy that they're being linked to right now. And yeah, I mean, he's having a good year, but like I said, he's a righty. He's not really missing bats. He's a ground ball pitcher. Really good breaking run value. He's not a bad pitcher. I just don't know if I would agree with this. But then, of course, you have David Bednar here. Because, of course, the guy who's a Yankee, we should probably be focused on a little bit more. This is some good stuff from Savant. And he got off to a rough start, had a bad year last year. You see right there. This year, he's been much better. He is a guy that misses bats, which you love to see. Because I think the biggest thing is what the Yankees got themselves into last night. By the way, in case you guys didn't know this, it's the only time in the history of the MLB where such a win occurred. You go up in the 8th, you lose, your lead in the 8th. You go up in the 9th, you lose your lead in the 9th. You go up in the 10th, you lose your lead in the 10th. And then the 11th, you end up winning the game. It's the only time it's ever happened in Major League Baseball. So Bednar in these type of games would have to pitch. And keep this in mind, you have that ghost runner. And when you have the ghost runner, you already have a guy on second base. Okay. So you need a guy that's going to miss bats, not a guy that's going to generate ground balls so you can move the runner over to third on the first batter. So to me, that is a big deal. And Bednar is able to miss bats. He doesn't also walk a ton. Now the barrel percentage, they do hit him pretty hard, but that's some good stuff right there. The fastball velocity, he's got a curve, he's got a splitter. He'll probably use the splitter more, I would imagine. So yeah, But I do not want Alcantara. I'm standing by that because I am not going to like what they have to give up for Alcantara. To me, I don't get it. Alcantara is owed $17 million in 26, and then in 27 he has a $21 million opt-out. He's had arm issues. I'll show you. I mean, I don't really understand. I do understand why they would try something, right? But you see, they're just trying to get what he was in 2022. This right here. Of course, everyone would love a Cy Young that you could just buy low. But he hasn't been that since 2022. I don't agree with it at all. If they do go that route, I'm not going to be happy about it. This isn't buying low either. What's rumored out there and what they are looking for is they're not selling low on him. They're trying to get a pretty penny. And how do you essentially sell high on a guy who has a 6.36 ERA? And we can sit there and say he's been much better as of late. Yeah, that's great. You know who else has been much better as of late? Ryan McMahon. Okay, with the Yankees. He has a batting average in the 350s with the Yankees. That doesn't mean that he was doing that with the Rockies. And it's also not guaranteed that he's going to continue to have that with the Yankees. That's just what he has currently with the Yankees in a short sample size. He was just acquired. Ke'Bryan Hayes, he was starting to hit really well for the Pirates. His OPS is still below 600. Doesn't just change that. So that's my thing. You can say it and be like, oh yeah, Sandy Alcantara, he's been better as of late. Yeah, true. He has. But he has not been good this year. I just don't really understand the appeal. I don't. Because I think what you're doing is, and I think Matt Blake is amazing, but what you're doing is you're kind of dreaming. This is more so what you probably get if you fix him. Because you're not getting this. You're not getting 2022 numbers. So as much as I love Matt Blake, that's just not living in reality. In 2022, are we serious? It's 3 years ago. That's my thing. I just really don't want to see them give up a ton for a guy that they would essentially be, they'd be hoping for. I want more surefire. To me, I think his teammate's better. Straight up. I'm not even talking about the control. I think he's just a better pitcher right now. He's also younger. So You're asking Matt Blake to turn water into wine, essentially. This is a pitcher I think he could already make better just for the simple fact that his best pitch is a slider and he barely uses it. They would just be like, hey, use your slider more. Okay? Look at the breaking run. Like, this is somebody that I think Matt Blake could get a lot out of. And again, it's 3 years of control. But Alcantara, you're paying him a lot. He is not a cheap option. And then on top of that, you're asking him. So how many starts do you think he makes the rest of the year? Like 6, 7, something like that. Let's just say 10 for the sake of argument. He makes 10 more starts. How much work can be done with Sandy Alcantara in 10 starts? Is he ready to be your reliable 3 in a World Series? Is he starting your game 3? And like, that's my thing. If you don't feel like Sandy Alcantara can start game 3 of the World Series, you don't trade for him. The Bednar move, yes, he has, like I mentioned, he has control next year, but Bednar is also a win now move. Bednar is somebody that you're like, I'm going to use him in the postseason. Alcantara is somebody like, if you're able to trade Pereira and like Brock Selvage for him, then by all means, that's a pretty good, low risk, potentially high reward. Never had an issue saying that before in my life until now. Low risk, high reward. If it's something like that, like, okay. But that's not what it's going to be. It's going to be the Yankees end up giving top pitching prospects. They're going to give up more for Alcantara than they give for Bender, right? Or not Bender, because Bender would be a part of it. Bednar. So they'd be getting Bender and Bednar. But no, I'm 100% against it. I've been that way for a while. I'm not changing my opinion on it. He becomes a Yankee, I'll root for him. I'm not rooting against him. Same thing with Ryan McMahon. I wasn't a fan of the Ryan McMahon move. Would have rather had Key Brian Hayes, but you know who looks good right now? Ryan McMahon. He looks good. He just looks like a Yankee. He had a walk-off yesterday. Say what you will about Ryan McMahon. He's looked good. His batting average is up to 226. It was 217 when they acquired him. So, yeah. Like, I'm totally fine with that. Also, part of me is looking at this and I'm like, why not let Schlittler try and prove something? Like, seriously, why not just let Cam Schlittler get an opportunity? He would have plenty of starts before the postseason. You would be able to find out who he really is. I don't really get it. Like, it would just, I don't know. And I'm looking at Cam real quick here. I feel like Cam's got the velo down and all that. I just, like, this is more so who I would like to see them work on than giving up prospects, potentially top prospects for Alcantara. I would probably rather go after a rental, Zach Gallen, who was also struggling. But at the same time, like, I just think the price tag for Alcantara is going to be way too high. And again, I'm just not that high on the player. 2022 was when he was like Cy Young level. That was a while ago, folks. It was. Do you expect him to get back to that over time with his age? He's 29. So when he was 26, he was a Cy Young guy. Then he gets Tommy John, and now he hasn't looked the same. His ERA has gone up every single year. It's not a good sign, in my opinion. That's what I'll say. So we'll see. We shall see. And I saw there was a super, so let me get to that here. Ninja, appreciate you. Love the dog as always for the 5. I don't think we get a starting pitcher. Trashman procrastinated too much, but at least he woke up and did something to help. That doesn't happen very often here. That is true. That is true. I appreciate the move for Bednar. I really, the Alcantara thing, Bender. I mean, I don't really even love Anthony Bender. He's got some things you're like, okay, but I don't love Bender. I'm not obsessed with going out and getting Bender. There's a better, it's exactly what I said. You get 2 years, by the way, 2 years of control, but it's exactly what I said in regards to Ed Cabrera. You go out and get Edward Cabrera. That to me is their best trade pack. Like that to me is their best trade option, right? But Bender's not even the best reliever, in my opinion. The reliever that I would want if I was trading, with the Marlins here is, what's his face? Now I'm blanking on his name. Oh, Ronnie Henriquez, their closer. Okay? So I'll put him up on the screen. This is who I would want. Give me this guy and give me Edward Cabrera, and I'll give you top prospects. I'll trade you Carlos LaGrange. I'll trade you Bryce Cunningham. I'll trade you those guys if I'm getting Ronnie Henriquez and I am getting Edward Cabrera. This I would do. And Bender is a right-handed pitcher. So I don't really get that. Again, I also think when it comes to not Bednar, Jojo Romero, looking at the lefty, I think this is the type of guy that you go out and get. I think this guy just looks like a Yankee. The slider sinker combo. Matt Blake is going to be all over that. Ground ball inducing. Yeah. And I think it coincides well with what you just got with Bednar, because Bednar misses bats. You go out and you get a guy that, generates some ground balls. There you go. So I like Jojo Romero a lot. He also has control. He's 28, and I'm going to look up, but I totally forgot how much control he has. I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. You get him kind of confused with other guys. He's got 1 year of control. So again, like Bednar, would be another year after this year. I think really good pitcher. And he's having a really good year this year. Strikes out, just about as many an inning. And then if they don't get him and they really want to go out and get a lefty, Danny Coulombe is somebody who I think could also really help them. I mean, you see the numbers here. This guy's just efficient. He's just efficient. He generates really, 2.4% of the time he's giving up a barrel. That's crazy. So that is that. The Yankees have officially acquired Jake Bird from the Rockies. Breaking news. So now Jake Bird is a Yankee, and we got to update this ticker. Oh, man. Well, there we go. So Jake Bird is a Yankee, and now Cashman is starting to do some stuff. And let's just bring this up for the time being as I get that situated. Jake Bird, and here's the thing. Another righty, so not a lefty. So I do wonder if Romero's still an option. Coulombe is still an option. But what you see here is a guy that I think has some really good stuff. And keep in mind, he's been pitching in Colorado, so these numbers are going to look atrocious. But I don't really care, because this guy has some really good stuff. It's no different than Seth Halverson. There's a reason why a lot of people want Seth Halverson. He's got a wild arm angle at 18 degrees. The arm slot's wild. He's got a funky delivery. But yeah, Bird pitching in Colorado, and I guess now he joins his teammate. He's 29. And Jake Bird, I believe he's got I don't think this is a rental. No, Jake Bird is going to. So this could be significant here package wise. Jake Bird is 3 years of control after this year. So they're going out there and getting this player. I like the move. I want to know who they gave up, but I like the move. And yeah, we're going to update the ticker here. So we'll do that. We'll get rid of the ticker from last year when the Yankees got John Birdie. Don't need that anymore. So we'll do that. How's everyone doing? Everyone good? Hope everyone's having a good time. So, in case those of you who are wondering, David Bednar headed to the Yankees for Rafael Flores, Edgelin Perez, and Brian Sanchez. And we are still waiting confirmation on what the Jake Bird package is, but the Yankees are still in a rain delay. So they've now made 2 moves in the middle of a rain delay. The Rockies are getting Ben Shields and Rock Reggio. So the Yankees sell high on Rock Reggio here. That is confirmed by Mark Feinsand. Look, I like Rock Reggio a lot. He was blocked. You have Jazz Chisholm at second base. He is only playing second base. Doesn't really offer value at the other spots. They sell incredibly high on Rock Reggio and Ben Shields, who just entered their top 30. So I like this move. I like Rock Reggio, but again, I just don't think that there was, a future there for him. So there's that. So yes, the Yankees have acquired Jake Bird from the Colorado Rockies in exchange for Rock Reggio and Ben Shields. I think this is a great move by Brian Cashman. Again, Rock Reggio is hitting the cover off the ball, but he is blocked at second base. And I think he's going to do some wonders in Colorado. Don't be surprised. He could be a quick call up before the end of the year, might be pushing it, but he could end up being their second baseman of the future. So Jake Bird, really like the pickup. The stuff is great. This is a guy that, unlike, having to rush it with Matt Blake can work on this player for the next 3 years after this year. So a lot of control there with Jake Bird and not a ton to give up. So I really like this. I do. And we're still, let's see here. Yeah. So yeah, I really like the moves that Brian Cashman's made. I'm not going to lie. I think the bullpen is good to go. I don't think they need to make another move. I'd love to see them go out and get Romero, but I like what the Yankees did so far. Yeah, Rock Reggio and Ben Shields. I think this is a really nice job. So now it feels to me, like the next move, which I do believe will be coming, will be a starting pitcher. I'd like to see them split from Alcantara and go after Cabrera. Maybe that's what they're doing. Maybe they're starting with Alcantara, trying to see what the price is, and then, in a way, kind of go down a peg. Because I guarantee you, the Marlins feel like they can get more for Alcantara than Edward Cabrera. I guarantee you. So those are my thoughts there. But again, guys, I'm not going to sit here and say Rock Reggio, who's the 10th prospect in the farm system right now. Like, he has a 937 OPS. He's got 18 homers. I think he's going to be a good MLB player. So Jake Bird better pan out. But I do, like I said, I do like the move. And then Ben Shields is the 29th prospect, and he's pitched well. A lefty there. So They do send another lefty out of the farm, but like I said, these guys are just blocked. Like Rock Regio, he wasn't going anywhere. He's not moving up into the majors. He's not going to start. If they don't sign Jazz Chisholm long term, this could be pretty bad. But to get rid of Regio, but no, I do agree with the decision to make this deal. So the Yankees have given up their 8th, 10th, 14th, and 29th prospects, and have now somewhat fixed their bullpen. And of course, the question is, who is Jake Bird? We've talked about him a lot on the show. Gary and I both like him. He's a stuff guy that would work really well, of course, with Matt Blake. Well, the interesting thing with Bird, right, is he actually, and this is kind of wild, he actually is better pitching at home. Believe it or not. He has a 212 batting average when pitching at home and a 542 OPS. So that is something he's going to have to get better with. He's had a rough start to the second half. I think he will be better with the Yankees. I think he will be better with Matt Blake. They clearly liked him enough to go out and get him. But as far as that's concerned, he's not great in high leverage. That's not why they're bringing him in. But he is going to help you in medium and low leverage. He's going to keep the OPS against him under 700. I like the player. Regio might be a little bit of an overspend. I'm not going to lie. I get what people are saying, so I understand. Not everybody's going to like it. But again, you kind of have to give up some stuff to get something. So Bird's home and away splits, though, are a little concerning. I'm not going to lie. That is for sure. What is Bird going to do, though? He's going to go up against... He's got reverse splits, by the way. Well, not reverse splits. He's actually good against... he's got somewhat reverse splits. I think he's just had a tough year this year based on what I'm seeing. So, again, this is somebody that I like getting because of the control and because he essentially is a stuff guy. So that's the thing. I'm not saying he is fantastic, but I like the potential there. I think the sweeper is going to play. I think the sinker is going to play. And I think Matt Blake is either going to tell him to remove the curve, or he's going to tell him to use the cutter or the four-seamer a little bit more. And what we're seeing here is this is somebody... I mean, where is it? Okay. So that curveball and the sweeper are his positive pitches right now. The curveball, he's generating 49.1% strikeouts. Batters are hitting 185 against it. And he has a whiff percentage of 38.4. This goes back to the fact that a lot of these teams just don't have good development squads. So his curveball, he throws the third amount. I'm telling you, this is what I'm talking about. There are guys that you will literally see that are good at, and this is what I was talking about with Edward Cabrera. They're really good with a certain pitch, but for whatever reason, their pitching coach, no one has really told them to continue to throw it. So I would expect them to increase that curveball a little bit more. I will say I do think maybe they gave up a little too much, but I like the move to go out and get somebody like this. I think Bird is going to work out. It's not quite it's not Efros, I'll tell you that much. I did not like the Efros move. I didn't like the idea of trading away a guy that was MLB ready as a starter and Hayden Wisniewski for him. At the time, didn't agree with it, but yeah. And we'll see what ends up happening in regards to starting pitching, because I think they're done now, according to that. Yeah, I'm keeping an eye on it, but it looks like they're done in terms of bullpen. I'm not seeing them really linked to anybody. So Bird is under control until 2028. According to baseball trade values, they say that the Yankees overpaid for David Bednar, which I think is definitely fair. So, there's that. Let's see here. I wanted to bring it up, actually. If I could bring up the trade board. Yeah, so I don't know if I even agree with this, but the trade values is saying that this is an overpay or an underpay for the Yankees. I think Rock Reggio is a little undervalued on this site, just like I think some other guys are. But I do think this is a fair trade. And then there's got to be, let's see, where's Bednar? There's got to be one here. If I can find it. Wasn't that long ago they got him? Oh. Yeah, no, I would absolutely hate this move. Good God. If they had to trade Cam Schlittler for Sandy Alcantara, I'd be pissed. I'd be so mad. Okay, here it is. So yeah, they're saying this is an overpay for the Yankees. I tend to, I don't know. I kind of get it. Maybe trading both their catchers seemed a little bit overkill, but I kind of get it. So I definitely I wouldn't call it dumpster diving. I mean, Jake Bird was coveted around the league. He's somebody that's been mentioned a lot. So I think the Bird move is probably going to, dumb some people down a peg a little bit. Bednar, I think they're both good, they're both good prospects, or both good acquisitions. They didn't give up a ton. And if you're looking at the farm system right now, and I'll bring that up here. This is the farm system right now, okay? I don't know if they're going to remove them that quickly. Maybe they are. Nope, Flores is still there. Okay, so the Yankees' new top 10 is Lombard Jr., Lombard Jr., Carlos LaGrange, Schlittler, Jones, Cunningham, Rodriguez, Cruz, Hess, Hampton, Arias, who I actually would imagine gets traded, and Brock Selvage. So they are kind of delving a little bit more down here. And keep in mind, this does not reflect who they drafted. So that's the thing. This doesn't reflect who they drafted either. So those guys eventually are going to be in here, Dax and all those guys. So, we'll see how that goes as well and where everybody kind of ends up. But the Yankees still have not moved their big trade chips. They haven't moved Elmer Rodriguez Cruz, who's absolutely dominant right now. They haven't moved Carlos LaGrange. Hopefully they don't move him for Sandy Alcantara. But yeah, it is interesting. They're able to acquire some good bullpen arms, and they didn't really have to give up anybody inside of that top 5, top 6, top 7, really. So Brian says, bird, 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 bird is the word. Appreciate you, Brian. Jake, what about Gary? Roy, Gary had mentioned last night, so if you missed last night's episode, totally understand. Gary mentioned last night's hard because he has to watch his daughter. So he can't go live during the day. So you're stuck with me. But he'll be back, later in the day. We're going to go live and talk about this game if it ever picks up again. Right now, there's a rain delay in the bottom of the 5th inning. John, thank you for the super chat. Don't confuse activity for accomplishment. Cashman didn't get a big time arm. He's prospect hugging. To paraphrase Les Snead, F those prospects. That is funny that you say that, John, because Gary and I were just talking about it, and having Les Snead as the general manager of the team that I cover and root for, and for Gary, who's going to cover the Eagles this year, having Howie Roseman as the GM, for the team that he likes and he roots for and he covers, like, it makes it harder to sit there and watch Cashman not go after a big fish, because you're the New York Yankees. And what those two are doing, Howie Roseman and Les Snead, they're doing it with a salary cap constraint, okay? And not self-imposed. Like, they have to play within the numbers. So that's what makes the frustration boil, because you're sitting there and you're like, man, you got 53 guys and 16 guys on a practice squad, right? So you got all these players, 69, 70 players on your roster. You have a salary cap they have to abide by. And these guys are still way more aggressive than our general manager of the New York Yankees, an organization that's been known for going after it, not being afraid to do whatever it takes to win, and playing in a league that doesn't have a salary cap. It is incredibly frustrating. So I'm glad you brought that up. It's something Gary and I were chatting about earlier today. So yeah, but appreciate the supers, guys. Yeah. I don't think Cashman's done either. Right now, I would say Cashman's done a solid job. I'm not going to just go out on a limb and say like this is the greatest thing ever, but there's 2 bullpen arms now Boone can use. They actually kind of have a surplus in a sense, but again, it's more so we'll see what they show us type deal. What does Yarbrough look like when he comes back? What happens to Stroman? What happens to Cam Schlittler? What does Cruz look like when he comes back? What does Mark Leiter Jr.? There's a lot of ifs. There's variables. That's the thing. When you have all these variables, there's no assumptions that can be made. Can't assume anything when it comes to players that get hurt. They might not come back the same, as you can see with Alcantara, for example, who has not come back the same since 2022. Appreciate you, Brian. And Roy, appreciate you. Jake, I love your info. Thank you, Roy. I just try to come prepared, and if I don't know something, I'm not afraid to look it up. I'm not going to just be like, yeah, and say it with just full confidence when I don't know it. I know some people do it. It's not me. I am not afraid to look up things while on the live stream. We're on a live stream. I'm not at a news desk. I'm not in a studio. I am in a studio, my own studio, but I'm not in a big television network studio. There's no excuse for me not to look up something if I don't know it and I want to know it. So that's a thing. But, we're going to see what they do. Right now, they've acquired Ryan McMahon. They have acquired Austin Slater. They have acquired Ahmed Rosario. They went out and got Jake Bird, and they got David Bednar. So say what you will, Brian Cashman is doing a decent job considering that he hasn't had to move anybody super big. The biggest name by far that he moved was Rafael Flores, and I would say Rock Reggio. But yeah, I think he's done a decent job. He's done a solid job. I'll tell him. And the Mets just keep trading for guys. Good Lord. They got Garcia. They just got Mullins. So the Mets they've been active. They also got a whole new bullpen. That works, and it also doesn't work. So keep that in mind as well. Sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't. Rangers and Red Sox are showing interest in Merrill Kelly. So I haven't seen the Yankees connected to Merrill Kelly lately. I haven't seen them connected to Zach Gallen. I haven't really seen them connected to starters outside of Alcantara. It just seems like they're making a hard push for him. Really not looking forward to that, but it is what it is. Like I said, if he ends up being a Yankee, I'm going to root for him. I'm not going to root against him. But let's talk about what has to happen now, because the Yankees relievers, you got David Bednar, you got Jake Bird, you got Devin Williams, you got Luke Weaver, you got Tim Hill, Loizaga, Hamilton, Hedrick, Yeri De Los Santos, JT Brubaker, eventually Ryan Yarbrough, eventually Fernando Cruz and Mark Leiter Jr. they have to move some of these guys. They're they're going to have to clear some room on the 40-man roster. There's going to have to be, some active moves to, clear up space on the 40-man, but also on the 26. So right now you have Bednar. Jake Bird will be in that bullpen. Let's say you have 8 spots. Weaver, Williams, Hill, he has to stay. He's the only lefty. That's 5 guys. So out of Loaizaga, Hamilton, Hedrick, De Los Santos, and JT Brubaker currently, you have to pick 3 of them. I would go with Yeri De Los Santos, Hedrick, and I would go with JT Brubaker, and I would DFA Loaizaga and Ian Hamilton. That's what I would do. And then when Leiter Jr., Fernando Cruz, and Ryan Yarbrough come back, you can send Yeri De Los Santos to AAA. JT Brubaker would likely have to be DFA'd. And then Brent Hedrick, you could also send to AAA. I do think they're done with the bullpen, but again, we will see. I think they're only going after starting pitcher right now. That's what it looks like anyway. So there hasn't really been anything yet. Let's see. It could be interesting because also keep this in mind, guys. Look at the guys that they moved on from. They traded Flores. They traded Perez. JC Escarra is still on this roster. They have not traded him. Escarra, is he safe? And then on top of that, Jesus Rodriguez. What's his status look like? Is he safe? He's starting to mash in AAA. He was already hitting well, and he always hits for average. But it's interesting. There's 2 hours left. There's under 2 hours left. They haven't moved those catchers. So I guess they're kind of telling us that they're going to stay. And I did not think Jesus Rodriguez was going to stick around. So yeah, we're just awaiting. Wow, Carlos Correa goes back to the Astros. The Astros just acquired Carlos Correa. Isn't that funny? That's wild. So a reunion of sorts. The Twins just sent him over to Houston. That's another player I think a lot of Yankee fans wanted. I was never really high on Carlos Correa after the injuries, but Red Sox are getting closer to a Merrill Kelly trade. So there's a lot of stuff going down right now. Again, we're under 2 hours. Still rain delay. It's still raining, by the way. Like, almost feels like this is on purpose. Well, I don't know about that one. The biggest thing for me is that I don't believe the Yankees were trying to find a closer after Duran and Mason Miller came off the board. I think that they were trying to find somebody to add into the bullpen that could pitch the 7th, the 8th inning, the 6th inning, stuff like that, and be used however Boone wanted to use him. And that is Bednar, because Bednar's high leverage stats are not good, and his low leverage and medium leverage are pretty damn good. So that kind of slides him right into the middle of the game type deal. So yeah, guys, be sure to hit that like button if you haven't already. We have over 550 people in here currently. So it does us a huge favor. Also, be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. We're giving away a Yankees custom jersey at 10,000 subscribers. We're getting there. We're over 8,600. So if you haven't subscribed already, we go live after every single game, Gary Sheffield Jr. is always here with me. He's just not here during the day because obviously he has to watch his daughter. But we'll be going live, and Gary will be a part of that show later on because we still have to go live and talk about today's game, which right now it's 7-4. Does it get called? Well, I'm pretty sure they didn't get through the 5th inning, so it couldn't be counted as a full game. It would have to be, picked up. And that's the scary thing is if that were to happen, because you would theoretically, you just want them to get this game over with. If that were to happen, they would take one of the Yankees off days and do it. So if they do end up calling this game, the Yankees will have to play this on one of their off days, and they'll pick up right where it left off. In the past, they would just nullify the game entirely, and then you would just postpone and play a whole new game. But now it would pick up exactly where it left off at that, that time. The Yankees have now traded 10 prospects, including Clayton Beeter, and have acquired 4 players. What I don't understand is there was a lot of talk about Edward Cabrera and Sandy Alcantara. Now it feels like it's just Sandy Alcantara. So I don't know. Oh, the game would count. Okay. Well, in that case, I thought you had to get through 5 innings. They didn't get through 5 innings, but interesting. I guess it is. I guess it is an official game. I thought you had to get through 5 innings. Oh, okay. Tampa got through 5. So, yeah, obviously the Yankees being up, it wouldn't matter theoretically for them to get through their bottom of the 5th. So the Yankees have this one on lock if they call it. That makes sense. I actually like that. That's how it should be. That's how it should be. I like that they have it that way. I do. So chat, what do you guys think they end up doing? Call your shot. I kind of feel like just with all this smoke, I kind of feel like they're going to end up getting Alcantara right now. I want Cabrera. I feel like they're going to get Alcantara. I do not want him, but that's my gut. My gut is telling me they're going to trade. They're going to make a trade that I absolutely do not want. They're going to get Alcantara and they're going to give up. It won't be Spencer Jones or anything like that, but they'll end up giving up LaGrange probably. Here, I'll show you exactly what they'll do. Let's put on the trade values chart thing. All right. So looking at this, I think this is exactly what the Yankees will do, because this is a trade that I absolutely do not want to make with the Marlins. So the Marlins will trade Alcantara. Jeez, look at the value just cratered. It used to be way up there. That's what I'm talking about. They'll trade Alcantara and then Bender, wherever Bender is. Pretty underwhelming, if you ask me. Yeah, okay. This is going to be a significant overpay, too, because I think this site understands Alcantara is not that great. And I don't think the Yankees are going to pay the price that this site would have you believe. Okay. So this is the value right now. This is ranked, the whole organization. And I think it's going to be Bryce Cunningham, Carlos LaGrange. I'm going to say they go Roderick Arias. And I'm going to say Henry Lillane here. Now, understand this. I get that this technically, while a little bit of an overpay, matches this. I don't want this. I don't. I don't know if you guys do, but this is the guy that just continues to get worse after Tommy John surgery. This is not the type of player you should be trading for. To me, that's just too much to give up. And I know this is going to be pretty much the trade they do. Like, when you look at their farm system, that's giving up number 2, number 5. And then who else do I have on there? Arias. Now he'd be in the top 10. I'll show you what I would give up for him. And it's not a lot because I don't want him. So this is what I would give up. Okay? There you go. That's my trade offer. Take it or leave it. I'm not giving up top stuff for Alcantara. Cabrera is a different story. I'd be open to giving up top stuff for Cabrera. I'm not giving up top stuff for Alcantara. So, Cabrera and Bender, well, I'll show you what I would do. If I'm the Marlins, I don't know why. I mean, I wouldn't trade any of these players, to be honest with you. I would not trade Cabrera. I wouldn't trade the closer, wherever he is. Where's Ronnie? There we go. Okay. So you got a 30 value here. This is what I would do. I don't know if they would do it, but this is what I would do. So I'll do a... Well, I would be open because LaGrange is way lower than he should be. Like, we can all admit, if he's the number 2 prospect, why is he a 5.4 value? That's ridiculous. But let's just say this. I would probably do Will Warren and Pereira, maybe. And I'd probably even be down to give him Arias. Not Ben Hess. So there you go. That's what I would do. I would do that right now. I like Will Warren a lot. But if I could get Edward Cabrera, Ronnie Henriquez, and only give up Everson Pereira and Arias as well, that, my friends, is what I would do. I would not touch Alcantara. Apex says, I will no way I trade Will Warren. That's fair. Any news? Astros trying hard for one of Merrill Kelly, Sandy Alcantara, and Dylan Cease. What about the Yankees? Anything? So the Rail Riders game just got postponed. So no hug watches. Andy Martino said Yanks might not be done. I would hope not. I do think they should try and add another player. Right now, it doesn't look like there's any updates or anything like that. So Bender and Alcantara is the only thing we have linking. But it's weird, though, that that came out. Think we get a surprise trade? Give me Quan. Huh. Appreciate the super. And then only person, Jesus. Well, thank you, Brian. Brian's always a character. We love Brian. Yeah, I mean, all right. So right now, to catch you up to speed, if you're new here, you just joined, whatever. Appreciate you. Appreciate everybody being in here. Be sure to subscribe, by the way, if you haven't already. Enter to win a giveaway of a jersey. We'll get that at 10K. Ooh, Colomb to the Rangers. Is that confirmed? Was kind of hoping. Yep, confirmed. That's a bummer. I was kind of hoping that he'd be available for like a last second trade because the Yankees seem to always do that. So, yeah. Josh Dowling says, go 49ers. Ooh. But I appreciate the super chat nonetheless. Just as a Rams fan, definitely no. I am not saying it with that enthusiasm. But no, I appreciate you. Tim over the hill and Hedrick as our lefties. Bruh. Yeah, well. It happens. Oh, I just realized the comments weren't showing. My bad, guys. If you guys comment, it'll be on the screen. I don't know why it wasn't showing earlier. I set it to show. It only took me over an hour to figure that out. The Yankees have two left-handed relievers now. They have Tim Hill and they have Brent Hedrick. Everyone else is a right-handed pitcher. Williams, Bednar, Weaver, Loizaga, Bird, Hamilton, Leiter Jr., Cruz, Yeri De Los Santos, and Brubaker. Good Lord. I thought I saw something, but that's the problem with Twitter. You never know. Anybody can pretend to be anything. All right. So, chat, how do we feel? Oh, Yarbrough is a lefty too. That's right. How do you guys feel about the deadline so far? Give it a letter grade on what you think Brian Cashman has done so far. There's just under 2 hours remaining. Joel Sherman just confirmed they still want to add a starting pitcher, and he wouldn't be surprised if they continue to look for lefty bullpen arm. So we finally got a little bit of an update there. The Yankees are still trying to get a pitcher in the starting rotation and a lefty bullpen arm. I still think Jojo Romero is the guy. If they go lefty, it's Jojo Romero. If they go, starting arm, I think it's either Zach Gallen or Sandy Alcantara. I will be absolutely thrilled if it is Ed Cabrera. I think Edward Cabrera is the best pitcher on the market. He gives you 3 years of control. He's got really good stuff. That's the type of guy that I want. Also, he's the only one out of all the pitchers that are available that's actually having a really good year statistically. So, yeah, that's that. So yeah, that's an interesting update there from Joel Sherman. Wouldn't be surprised if they continue looking for a lefty bullpen arm and still want to add a starting pitcher. Well, you still got time. I don't think there's any way that all of those pitching prospects are going to be on the Yankees. There's just no way. There's a lot that are blocked. You have 3 long-term contracts. You have long-term Luis Heel with 3 years of control. You have Will Warren with control, unless you move him. Cam Schlittler with a lot of control. Like where, and that's kind of the sad thing, but like where does Elmer Rodriguez Cruz fit in all this? Where does, Carlos LaGrange? They're blocked. So, but yeah, we see it in the comments section. A lot of C's, B's, no A's. Definitely no A's here. I see a D even. My dad gave it a C minus. B, C, B minus. Yeah, I would say I'd give it like a C, C plus. Because they didn't get anybody that I was really thrilled about, but they did get better. Josh, I can confirm Cabrera is available. He is available. Will they trade him? I don't know, but he's been reported as available. That is a guy that the Yankees were looking at. Alex is learning very quickly who Brian Cashman is, and he's not loving it. Oh, man. Jake Bird made me want to give it an F. We were going to have fun talking about this one, LOL. Hey, Dad, I really, at the end of the day, when it comes to Jake Bird, it's a guy that, Gary and I did research on because we just like his stuff. Obviously in Colorado, there wasn't a lot of development there. 3 years of Matt Blake, the rest of this year with Matt Blake, like, I think he could do something. I like the move. We talked about Bird. Is he my favorite? No. Was he a top of my list? No. But he was in like my top 10 list of people I would have gone after in this. Yeah. Yeah, I think Bird is a good pickup. I think he'll surprise people. They didn't just get rid of Rock Reggio to get just a nothing burger. They clearly know what they have in this guy. Or they, Gary and I were on Jake Bird for a while. We did a whole episode with bullpen guys, and we both came to the conclusion that Jake Bird's stuff alone, we think, and again, I was mentioning it earlier with the curveball, we think that Matt Blake could get the most out of him. And another thing that's important is that Matt Blake, this isn't to me just a bargain bin guy. This is somebody who's clearly a lot better than what he's shown in Colorado. Like, I really believe that. And they clearly believe that. So, and again, the big thing, you know, at the end of the day, Rock Reggio was not going to get an opportunity. You know, he just wasn't. It's a bummer, but this is why I kept saying in our live streams, Rock Reggio is not playing out of second base. He only was playing second base. That told me everything. I said it the other day. He does not have a future with the Yankees. If he did, they'd be trying him at third. They'd be trying him in the outfield. They'd be trying him at shortstop. He only played second base. So I really didn't think he was going to get that opportunity. I know you were the first one to be on Halverson. I didn't even know who he was until you started talking about him PS5. But yeah, I think people will come to like the Bird move. Bednar is really the headline. Bird is, again, somebody that, you know, he's got good stuff. He's got 3 years of control after this year. It makes sense. Yeah, I mean, for me, do I love anybody they picked up? Ahmed Rosario last year, maybe, because I wanted Ahmed Rosario so badly last year. This year, I didn't really understand it. I mean, he's the same player, but, you know. But I feel like I'm content with what they've done so far. If they add another, I would be a little disappointed if they didn't add another guy. But also keep this in mind. Last year's draft, and Gary and I were talking about this, last year's draft just filled the cabinet, just filled the trade cabinet with pitching. They drafted almost all pitchers in the first 10 rounds. And they've already moved a lot of them. Gage Zeal, gone. 4th rounder, right? Griffin Herring, I believe, was a 6th rounder, gone. Ben Hess, Bryce Cunningham, 1st and 2nd rounders. We'll see where they go. Wyatt Parliament is also in play here, could be traded. Like, these are guys, they clearly looked at last year's draft as like, yeah, we'll just draft the best arms possible. And if they work out, cool. If not, you know, whatever, we end up trading them anyway. And it worked. They replenished for the most part. So, yeah, I'm a lot higher on their farm system than other people are. But I'm also, you know, realistic in the fact they just don't have a lot of, they don't have a lot of spots on their active roster for these guys. A lot of these guys are blocked. That's just the reality. The Padres, Lauren, you're going to like this. The Padres just acquired Ryan O'Hearn and Ramon Laureano from the Orioles. That's a significant trade. Both are having really good years. And, you know, O'Hearn is he's an all-star, and Laureano's hitting well in the outfield. So the Padres, yeah, they continue to do some stuff, and they're going after it, and good for them, you know, being aggressive. Now, of course, okay, it looks like the Astros are getting closer to acquiring Dylan Cease. I guess we'll wait on that one. Ken Rosenthal, the Yankees want another bullpen arm, at least one more. They're also looking at starting pitcher as well. I've heard they're in on Alcantara and others, so I do not expect that they're done. We won't have a full picture of them till we pass 6 p.m. Interesting. That's fair. I feel like they got better in every avenue. You go with Ryan McMahon. McMahon is just a better hitter than Peraza, equal to probably a better fielder than Peraza. So that's an upgrade. I have the issue with paying him, you know, the money that they're paying him, and that wasn't necessarily the guy that I wanted, but offensively, he's an upgrade. Then you have Rosario. Rosario is an upgrade bat-wise over Peraza. So you get two guys, because Peraza loses the third base job to McMahon. And then Peraza becomes the backup and coming off the bench and pitch hitting, pitch running. And now you get Rosario that can do that. So that's an upgrade. And then Austin Slater is essentially a guy that can come in and he can play a good right field. He's got a killer arm and he's got really good splits against lefty. Like, I mean, he has, 800 plus, 859, I believe. So you get guys that can help you there, makes your bench better. It deepens your bench. It's very similar to what the Dodgers did last year, like I continue to say, with Kevin Kiermaier and going out and getting, of course, Rosario and going out and, acquiring Tommy Edman. It just makes you more depth-filled. But then on top of that, Bednar is better than anybody in that bullpen not named Williams and Weaver, and one could argue he's probably better than Weaver. He's got the strikeout numbers to prove it. And then you go out and you get Jake Bird, who also has some really good stuff there. And the thing about Bird, in the past, they've gone after guys who just didn't really seem to have a lot of talent. And they're like, oh, yeah, Matt Blake can get the most out of him. Bird has like legitimate stuff. He's got some disgusting stuff. If he figures it out with Matt Blake, I mean, he could be really good. And again, you're going to have him for 3 years after this. So I think that was I do think they upgraded, and I do think they made their team better. The question is, how much better? That really is the question. And who are they moving on from? Because they have to make room again for these two pitchers. So that's another important aspect of the equation, is that now, when it comes to the Yankees, they have to make room for these guys. They have to make room on the 40-man, and they have to make room on the 26-man. So who is going to go? And right now, the current active roster, you have Brubaker, you have De Los Santos, you got Ian Hamilton, Hedrick, Hill, Loaizaga, Schlittler. These are guys that, Weaver and Williams that could potentially pitch out of the bullpen. So you have to make room for Bednar, and you have to make room for Jake Bird. So obviously you can't get rid of a hitter because you have to have 13 hitters and 13 pitchers until the postseason. Then you can kind of customize your 26 guys based on however you want to do. So when it comes to the pitchers, I feel like they probably are going to, I don't know if they'll send down Yeri De Los Santos. They'll probably send down Hedrick. That to me, I don't agree with, but I feel like they're going to. Or they'll DFA Hamilton, or they'll DFA Loaizaga. My guess is they DFA Hamilton. That's just my guess. And then after that, because they have to make another move, they probably send down Hedrick. So that's probably what you see there. Well, then we're all going to be very happy now, aren't we? If they get Sandy Alcantara and he goes back to Cy Young status, I mean, there's not really anything to talk about at that point. It's just you can't have any issues with that if that's what happens. So, yeah. I will say Jake Bird is going to have to trim that beard, man. That's for damn sure. I don't know if you guys have seen it, but there it is. Your trade deadline acquisition so far in Yankee hats. Obviously 3 of them have already played for the Yankees. 2 of them are on the way. I think Bednar is going to be really good. I think Bird is going to be good. I think he's going to surprise people. Yeah, no, he's definitely going to have to shave that bird. Bird. He's going to have to shave that beard. It's way too long. Then again, look at Rosario. I don't know. Maybe they'll let him keep it. Who knows? So we got Christian Brown saying good, mid, bad. I think, Bednar has an ERA under 3. He's not mid. He's a 2-time All-Star. Not that I care about All-Stars, but he's a good player. Like, Bednar is probably the biggest guy that they got. Ryan McMahon is a position player, so by virtue of that, he's always going to be considered the big headliner, but all-star third baseman. But when it comes to Bednar, I mean, I think he's probably the most talented of all those guys. Yeah. John Morosi tweets out the Yankees have had an active deadline, but still need to address their starting rotation. Less than 90 minutes to go. Yeah, and it sure feels like they're going to end up getting a starting pitcher. I don't think they get another bullpen arm. If they do, it's Jojo Romero. If they don't, then I think they go with... I think they get Alcantara, and I don't want him. He looks like ZZ Top. Yeah. Fun fact about ZZ Top: the last guy, the guy with the last name Beard, is the only guy that doesn't have a long beard. Pretty wild. He did trim it. It doesn't. I don't think it looks like that anymore. But yeah. So yeah, it doesn't, it feels like for the most part, what I'm gathering is that you guys, you're content to a degree, but also a little underwhelmed. That's kind of what I'm gathering. Like the vibes I'm getting is that you like some, you don't like others. Like I said, I think they've had a C+ deadline. If they were to add somebody like, I mean, really, if they were to add Edward Cabrera to the mix, okay, now we're talking. That alone would bump it up to a B-, A- for B+, A- for me. I mean, I think Cabrera would be a huge get. And that's, to me, I agree with it. Because I think team control makes sense. It does. I like the idea. If I'm going to deliver my prospects in this nice premium package, I want to at least get guys that'll be around longer than 50 games. You know what I'm saying? There's 50, something like that. 50-something games left in the year. And, of course, you have your postseason and everything. There's like 50-something games left in the regular season. That was my biggest thing. Why am I giving up top prospects so I could have Eugenio Suarez for 50 games? Like, you know what I mean? So, I just feel like going after guys with control is the move. I'm not against getting, rentals. Rosario's a rental. Slater's a rental, right? But the idea of getting guys with control is now I'm helping myself now, but I'm helping myself later. And that to me almost satiates the idea of trading away a prospect. Because if I'm trading away prospects like Rock Regio, I better be getting control. If I'm trading away a prospect like Rafael Flores, I better get control. That's how I feel. So I don't have an issue with the focus on control. Because look at what control does. Mark Leiter Jr. was pitching really well before he got hurt. That's another guy they got with control. And I don't even remember who they gave up because they were so just, I don't want to say irrelevant, but I don't even remember who it was. They did not give up a lot for Mark Leiter Jr. They did not. And guess what? Jazz Chisholm, control. So they go and acquire Jazz Chisholm last year. They get a guy with control. He can help then and he can help after. And now you have Jazz Chisholm for the future. And right now, I mean, aren't you happy you got Jazz Chisholm? So that's kind of how I look at it. I do feel like, the control aspect of it does matter. Like, I'm not going to sit here and say, whatever. No, it matters. It's a big thing for me. And it does limit you. Absolutely. It limits you. The irony is it limits you because it doesn't limit you in the fact that you get this guy for a long time or whatever, but it limits you because now you have to give up more than maybe this person's actually worth right now, here and now, because of what they will be at the end of that control period. And that is a tough thing. Well, so Dan, I think really for me, when it comes to prospects, I'm not ignorant to the fact they are currency. So that's really, it is currency. It's like when you draft quarterbacks in football, you use them as currency. If you develop them, somebody needs, starter goes down, they need a backup quarterback. Quarterbacks are currency in the NFL. In addition to that, picks are also currency. So the prospects are really your only form of currency because you can't even trade picks unless they're competitive balance picks. So that's the thing there. But when it comes to the Yankees farm system, while I like a lot of the guys, I've been saying Rock Reggio's blocked. He doesn't have an opportunity because Jazz Chisholm's at second base and they refuse to move him. I've been saying that the starting pitchers, when you have three guys under long-term deals in Garrett Cole, Carlos Rodon, and Max Fried, and you also have Luis Heel and Will Warren long-term as well, because you're playing control with them, well, now it makes things harder because regardless of how awesome Carlos LaGrange looks, regardless of how awesome Elmer Rodriguez Cruz looks, regardless of all of that, they're blocked. So that's the thing. That's why I've maintained pretty much this whole time, I am okay with moving anybody that's not Spencer Jones or Cam Schlittler in this farm system. Now, does that mean I would trade him for like a sausage, egg, and Swiss sandwich? No, absolutely not. I want to get good prospects or give up good prospects. I want to get something good and I want to get control. But with that said, no, I wouldn't call myself, I used to be a prospect hugger. I would not call myself a prospect hugger because I am well aware that there are too many of these guys that are blocked. That's just really what it comes down to. So Curry confirmed the Yanks organization is high on Cam. They should be. You've seen 3 starts of him, and he's got way more in his arsenal there than most guys, you would say. Houston is progressing on a Dylan Cease trade. Doesn't look like the Yankees are going that route. Let's see. Anything new? I mean, we're getting close to the hour away mark. Cards were looking for way more for Romero. That's another thing. A lot of these teams, they'll wait because if you're a buyer and you know that you have the seller where you want them, because they have made it very clear it would be a failure on their part if they didn't move this asset for whatever reason. So you have them on the hook. Because the reality is this. If you are a seller and you want to get rid of something, but you're running out of time, yeah, you might start off with, oh, well, we're not taking that deal. We want this and this and this. But all of a sudden, those asks, those wants, they diminish the closer you get to the actual deadline at 6 p.m. So I would imagine we see another Yankees trade, and it'll happen probably closer to that time. And I also want to point you guys in the direction We have a Discord channel, and I'm actually monitoring it right now. I can see it. It's being utilized clearly. There's a lot of people talking in there, dropping tweets. So if you guys haven't checked out the Discord channel, the link is going to be right in the chat. And it is pinned. And feel free to have at it. It's basically just the community, and it's like it's a free, just a free chat. You can hang out with other like-minded Yankee fans. Got 155 people in there. So, yeah, we'll just continue to grow that, obviously. And we'll wait. We'll see what they do. It's going to be fascinating to see what they do with some of these guys, like a Loizaga, like a Ian Hamilton, guys that have been around for a hot minute. Who are they going to move on from? Who are they not? That's fair. Yeah, what would it take to get JoJo Romero? Are the Cardinals asking for the moon and the stars? I mean, I like JoJo Romero, but I mean, come on now. It's not like you got this, an hour and 10 left. Yeah, you're right. The game is still in a rain delay. I saw somebody ask if it was canceled. It is not canceled. It's still in a rain delay. Austin Slater was at the plate in the bottom of the fifth. If they do end up postponing it, or not postponing it, they would just cancel it. It's a game. The Yankees would win the game. So at this point, I'm fine with whatever they do. Yeah, it's still rain delay. If they want to call it, man, they can call it. Game should have been played at 7 anyway. No, I know why it wasn't, though. It was for traveling purposes. The Yankees are going to have to go to Miami tomorrow, so I get it. But yeah, it doesn't look like anything is imminent right now. I don't know. Up to you guys. Do you want me to stick around and keep going live? I mean, we've been live for an hour and 37 minutes. You could have probably watched an entire movie in that span by now. Or do you want me to stay live until 6 p.m.? Good. That sounds a while from now. I almost feel like it makes more sense to just probably sign off soon and then go live if they do something. Gary and I already are planning on doing a show for the game today, or just a show in general. So, that's true, by the way. I don't know if Loizaga gets traded to the Tigers, but the point being is, the Yankees could also sell some players out of their bullpen as well. Just because of how crazy the reliever market seems to be, they could probably move some of their guys to make room. Because just because it doesn't work out for you doesn't mean it won't work out for another team. I mean, you see it all the time when it comes to, a really good example of this is Dennis Santana. Santana was on the Yankees last year. This year, he's absolutely killing it. He was released by the Yankees. He's killing it for the Pirates. Watch, I say that, and then all of a sudden, Yankees have acquired Dennis Santana from the Pirates. Like, well, really? I would love Edward Cabrera. Would love it. Absolutely love it. Stick around, take a break. Well, I got a giant thing of water here. So, just going to take a swig of this. It's kind of amazing this is nothing new for me, because those of you who have followed my stuff for a while on my Rams channel, I mean, I've gone live for 5 hours. I've gone live for 8 hours in a row for the NFL draft. So technically I could stick around. Yankees still talking to teams about adding starting pitcher. No word anything's close yet, according to John Heyman. I don't know how to feel about that, because, like, was that even a report? What was that? They're still talking to... I would hope they're still talking to teams about starting pitcher if they want a starting pitcher. That's true. Brian Cashman just unzipped his sleeping bag, so it's hard to leave now, you know? Yeah, that's just insane. They don't have a single player aside from Stowers that I would trade any of those guys for. That's just ridiculous. The Marlins are ridiculous. They're just, my God, every year, dude. Yeah, I mean, I think really they've kind of told us without, you know, really telling us, right? Actions speak louder than words. And the Yankees just simply put, were not willing to give up prospects in their top 6. Top 7. So, yeah. I mean, I would have given up LaGrange probably, but they don't appear willing to do that. Now, does that mean, and let me make this clear, does that mean Brian Cashman and the Yankees are looking at Carlos LaGrange as he's the starter of the future? No, not necessarily. This is currency. So while we also look at prospects as what happens when they get called up and they could be great, and they're low, low cost and controllable and all of that. The other side of it is that big fish become available in the winter. So when big fish become available in the winter, like a Juan Soto in the past, maybe, you know, like Kyle Tucker, right? Now you have these guys that you can trade. See what I'm saying? So it's not necessarily that the Yankees want to keep these guys, so to speak, right? They don't necessarily want to keep them to use them. Some of these guys could be dangled in a trade this winter. They feel like they could get more out of it. There isn't a guy on the market right now that is worth these guys in return. So anybody that was wondering, game is back on in 30 minutes. So I think that is a cue for me to head on out of here. It's hard to leave normally, but we did get 6,000 views in this one. So really appreciate you guys. Before you head out, be sure to hit that thumbs up button, also known as the like button. Be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. So yeah, we held it down. Hour and 43 minutes, man. Fun time. Appreciate everyone. And we'll see you guys real soon. I'll be back live with Gary not long from now. So be sure. I'm gonna hold you to that. Be sure to hit the like button. Otherwise, YouTube is going to assume you absolutely hated this. It was the worst thing you've ever seen. And be sure to hit the subscribe button. And before you head on out of here, drop in the comments section, which starting pitcher do the Yankees end up acquiring? Shoot your shot. But that's going to do it for me. You guys take care, and I'll see you guys not that long from now. So you guys enjoy the game, and we'll check back in after. Later, folks.